understand how COVID-19's impacted your business, and we're sharing what you're telling us with those who can help. And while a lot of this immediate work's been reactionary due to the circumstances, we're really focused now on how travel can help Ohio rebound. You're going to hear a lot more about some of the recommendations we're vetting in the next week or so, but rest assured we have your back and are laser focused on making life better. Before I turn things over to Matt, I want to respond to a couple questions that were sent prior to the webinar. And as Kelly has said, all the questions submitted prior to today's call or that may come in from the chat button, which I really encourage you to use, we'll answer those and post them and give you the link in the email that we'll be sending out afterwards. So if we don't get to all the questions, we will make sure your questions are answered. So the first question I want to address came in that said, what is the anticipated financial impact COVID-19 will have on the travel industry? Again, there are still a lot of unknowns, as every day that's extended means there are additional losses. The early forecasts predict a $400 billion loss nationwide, with the largest hits occurring March and April. This is basically 7 times the impact of 9/11, but we fully expect the next economic impact report to show an even greater impact. Recovery could take 12 to 16 months, with diminishing rates of loss as time goes by. Right now, they're saying to expect a 34% decrease for the overall year, but that also includes an 82% decrease this month, going down to about a 15% decrease in December if we're able to reopen in June. If we apply that national percentage to economic impact in Ohio, we're anticipating no less than a $19 billion loss. To date, that we know of as of last Friday, Ohio has lost $465 million in year-over-year spending. And although this is pretty gloomy news, it's really important for us to understand that strategic travel promotion can drastically shorten the time that's going to be needed for economic recovery. It's kind of ironic that the industry hardest hit will be the one who can ultimately accelerate economic recovery. The second question I want to try to get to real quick it's a longer question, so bear with me. With the favorable perception of Ohio as a result of the governor's action, we will likely be one of the first states able to draw out-of-state visitors post-virus. This new money into Ohio's economy will be crucial to recovery. Are there plans from the General Assembly to invest in Tourism Ohio to accelerate the recovery through tourism? That was the question. And I love this so much, as would the governor, right? Because his leadership has justifiably attracted national attention. However, I believe Ohio has great potential for accelerating recovery because of 4 things. 1, we're a drive market. 2, we're a domestic market. Only 3% of our Ohio travel market is overseas in Canada. 3, we're primarily a leisure travel market with 85% of our spending in the leisure travel. And 4, we have such diversity of experiences, many of which will be sought after in the earliest phase of recovery, such as outdoor recreation in rural areas and small towns. So we have no doubt that travel will be the road to recovery. That being said, we must keep public safety top of mind, and we predict opportunities for economic rebound will come in stages, with in-state travel leading the way initially. We also predict changes in travel motivation, so your ability to understand what your customers are thinking are going to be really, really important. As I said earlier, the Ohio Travel Association has developed recommendations for both mitigating additional economic harm to our businesses, as well as for accelerating economic recovery through travel. These recommendations are going to be shared with the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the Development Services Agency director very soon. Ensuring Tourism Ohio and DMOs across the state have the resources they're going to need to promote travel when it's safe to do so is among the recommendations, as are relief measures to address the seasonality of many of our businesses, which we don't think were considered when the existing economic relief packages were put together. My email will be shared at the very end. I welcome you to contact me at any time with additional questions. And I really want to just say thank you for joining us. Thank you for all you do. And we truly believe that we are in this together. So at this point, I am going to turn things over to Matt MacLaren with Tourism Ohio.
Thank you, Melinda, and thank you to the Ohio Travel Association for the invite to be your webinar speaker today. If we could go to the next slide, and the slide after that. I really have been following what the Ohio Travel Association and Melinda have been putting out to the industry, and it's been fantastic. Their information, their leadership on resources and advocacy to make sure that the right resources are available for the industry has been wonderful, and just want to give a lot of credit to the Ohio Travel Association for the work they're doing during this crisis. You know, one of my favorite parts of this job has always been coming to your destinations, speaking at your events, talking to the people in our industry, and it's hard for all of us not to be able to do those things that we love right now. We will get back to the strong industry that we know, a $46 billion industry in the state of Ohio. And one of the reasons I was happy to be your webinar speaker today is to share the stages, the plans by Ohio Find It Here for our marketing through the recovery and back into visitor marketing to get more travelers to choose Ohio. I do think what Melinda just said is absolutely right. We're positioned well once the recovery begins. And if we go to the next slide, there are lots of resources out there during this time, this very difficult time for the tourism industry. OTA has a wonderful page that lists information on loans and more. So does the Ohio Department of Development. I work, tourism's part of development. I work with a lot of individuals who have tirelessly been trying to find ways to help the businesses that are in so much need right now. The website you see there, coronavirus.ohio.gov/business help, was just launched yesterday, and would encourage anyone that's in need of help, like so many are right now, to go to that site and see what there is offered both at the state level, and it incorporates a lot of what's being offered through the CARES Act and more from the federal level. If we go to the next slide. We've been tracking very closely what's the travel sentiment, what's going on across the United States. Longwoods International has been putting out a weekly study, what I think are one of the best studies to help us understand where we are now and where the mindset of the traveler is going forward. Each week they've done it, it's been hard to watch because the number of canceled trips or changed plans has continued to go up. We have a challenge ahead of us. Over the next 6 months, 84% of travelers have either canceled or modified their trip. If there is a silver lining to this, when people are modifying their trip, they're choosing domestic and they're choosing to travel by car, road trips. That's what they're modifying their trip to. Ohio has always been a strong drive-to destination, and I think we can play into that as travel becomes safe and people start to travel again, and that does position us well. But what the entire industry is going to struggle with is this increasingly large number of canceled trips. 53% of travelers said they have canceled a trip in the next 6 months. Those are travelers we need to win over again. We need to win over and get them to choose to come to our destination. But also, I'll put this challenge out there to every business right now. They're canceling because of COVID-19. Each of the destinations in Ohio need to think about how they can be safe in this new world. That means social distancing, and that means new cleaning standards for the immediate future, something that everyone should be thinking about right now for that opportunity when we reopen and we start trying to recruit. I think we'll do a good job of it, recruiting trips to our state. If we go to the next slide. Lots of groups have become resources for loans and such that's available now. I looked at what Tourism Ohio's position should be at this point in time. We've always been the marketing arm for the state of Ohio, creating a positive image and supporting Ohio's tourism industry. That's where we will continue to be. We have put our efforts into creating a short-term marketing plan called Support Local Ohio. And then from that, we plan to transition into marketing to people to encourage them to plan their trip to the state, and then eventually back to full visitor marketing in the region again. If we go to the next slide. In the very beginning of this, we were fortunate to work with Governor DeWine, whose leadership has been so strong and nationally recognized. And realizing that when people have to stay at home, when people have to enter this crisis, their morale, we have to think about their morale. We were able, through Ron Foth Advertising, a new marketing agency, and I think a few of them are on the call, so thank you for doing this. We were able to put together the first videos used by Governor DeWine in his press conferences. 3 separate days of In This Together Ohio videos. People across the state, whether it's the healthcare workers, the families, holding up homemade In This Together Ohio signs that became a great slideshow that was used by Governor DeWine. Also reached out to many people, and you can see my family did it ourselves. We created the In This Together Ohio signs, encouraging people, giving them something to do, and knowing that there's hope, and knowing that we really are here supporting each other, and that we will eventually make it through this. Want to go to the next slide? Playing off of that theme, this In This Together, supporting Ohioans, we want Ohioans to support the tourism industry, to support retail, the restaurant, and the attractions by buying things from them right now. So our team has created a Support Local Ohio campaign that we will be marketing all of April and into May. If we could go to the next slide. The Support Local Ohio campaign has a microsite on ohio.org. We were able to collect stories and pictures thanks to OTA and so many of you from over 100 different businesses across the state of Ohio. And the next slide here. And we use those to create a site that now, as we tell people, you should buy from your local restaurant, you should shop online at your local retailer, and you should go to your attractions virtually, take the virtual experiences and the educational experiences that they offer online. As we tell people through our marketing campaign, both public relations that's going to roll out this week, and then paid advertising that we expect to start as soon as next week. As we start delivering this message, we know it's not going to replace all the business that you're used to seeing this time of year, but the fastest way to get money into the hands of businesses in Ohio is still consumers buying products from them. And any little bit we can do right now to help, we want to do. That's the idea behind this campaign. There's over 400 restaurants, retailers, and attractions currently on the site. And if you want to add your business or add other businesses to it, you can do so by going to ohio.org/support local Ohio, and you'll find the link in the text at the top to add your business to it as well. Next slide here. Through all of April, you'll see, just like we do a traditional marketing campaign, we'll be searching out the media outlets that will cover us with stories, doing interviews, although virtually, doing interviews, encouraging people to buy from restaurants, buy from retailers, purchase memberships and gift cards at attractions when you do their virtual online experiences. A campaign that we're rolling out this week. Next slide. You probably saw this in Buckeye Line earlier this week, and actually it was kicked off by the governor at one of his press conferences a week ago Friday, when he talked about the Support Local Ohio campaign. The campaign itself, we had over 5,000 people go to the site in the first minute the governor talked about it. And we've had tens of thousands go to the site since, even before the press release goes out this week and the media efforts, the marketing efforts start this week. If you want to go to the next slide, we'd love to have your support in it too. In addition to us sending out running a campaign like we do a general visitors campaign, focused only on Ohioans though. That's one of the big things, big differences in this. Asking Ohioans to support Ohioans by buying from restaurants, shopping local online, and going to the virtual attractions. You can help us by posting on social media. Use hashtag Support Local Ohio, use hashtag In This Together, encourage your neighbors, your area, to buy from local retailers and restaurants as well. Can we go to the next slide? We'll also be sending out what we call a Swiss cheese press release, a sample press release where you can fill in your information and send it to your local media outlets to help get more stories as we hopefully head into the recovery of this crisis. to get money into the hands of businesses through consumers. What you're seeing here are some of the advertising. I want to say thank you to Great Lakes Publishing. We've had many of our partners reach out. They know what we're working on with Support Local Ohio and offer us openings. Great Lakes has been one of them for Ohio Magazine. And then we're also looking to do paid placements like the digital ad that you see there on the right. We've also been in touch with iHeartRadio and many of the other partners we've got advertising from over the years who are looking to do anything they can help businesses in Ohio right now. And iHeartRadio and many others are now offering us free spots, or they'll be talking about Support Local Ohio, make it part of their conversations, their advertising as well. Next slide here. And this is just the beginning. So what you're seeing today, we've put some information out there, but the campaign itself really kicks off this week. And as we continue to talk about supporting local Ohio throughout the month of April and into May, we want to tell the stories of Ohioans as well. And that's the heroes and the innovators, the distilleries that are all making hand sanitizer, the restaurants that are taking large orders of food to healthcare workers. Those are the heroes and innovators that we see in Ohio's tourism industry. Even when it's our toughest time, we're still stepping up to help others. Telling that story will build the support for our industry, the support from the consumers that we know will lead to even more patronage down the line. Then in addition to that, we'll be rolling out an e-learning page. I've been amazed to see everything from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to COSI offering education classes. As you know, I have 2 young daughters, and for at least until May 1st, and maybe beyond, they are being schooled at home, just like every other student in Ohio. Being able to go onto these websites, both as students, parents, and even teachers, and teachers can build lesson plans. My daughters can use the sites to learn about the attractions in Ohio, and I can help them learn from home about rock and roll, about COSI with their daily lab, the Cincinnati Museum Center, which has videos that are offered on there about amazing oceans, coral reefs, dinosaurs, and more. It's a great resource, and we look forward to telling Ohio's story through the e-learning as well that so many of our attractions are offering. The slide that you see up here, we are building in to Support Local Ohio and hope to launch these additional parts of it as early as next week. And the next slide. Ways you can help. Think In This Together Ohio, Support Local Ohio, social posts, talking to the media, encouraging people in your neighborhood, in your area to stay home, but order out and shop local online so we can get money into the hands of the retailers, restaurants, and attractions that need it right now. It's hard. It really is a hard time. This is a different type of campaign for us, focused only on Ohioans, but any little bit that we can do to help, we want to do. So we can go to the next slide. And we expect to do Support Local Ohio throughout April and into May, but we know eventually we will transition back to the road trip marketing that we had set up at the beginning of this year. Road trips, you can see from the Longwood study, that's what people that are keeping their travel plans or changing their travel plans, that's what they're focusing on, getting in the car and going someplace. They feel that's the safest mode of visitation, and we play right into it with Ohio. We have built 10 perfect road trips, everything from the scenic outdoors to the winning drive sports themed road trip, and we look forward to the days that we can transition to this market. I do think it'll be sometime around May when we will start encouraging visitors to plan their next trip in Ohio, plan their road trip. And then it'll be, if we go to the next slide, I think it'll be June. That's what we've been trying to figure out is just when we will get back to that regional visitation marketing like so many others. We're playing it day by day. We're always watching it, but right now the plan is for us to begin that regional visitation marketing again in June. And if you look at what Ohio has to offer, there are a lot of reasons for those that have canceled their trip to now rebook to come to Ohio. For those that are changing their trip to change it to drive to Ohio. Everything from the new Giga Coaster at Kings Island and the 150th anniversary in Cedar Point to the new sports parks and 100th anniversary of women's right to vote. And this fall, the 100th anniversary of professional football. All major events and trends happening in the state of Ohio this year, and we have to get through this very, very difficult time. but are looking forward to marketing these again and bringing visitors back to your doors to get our industry back on track for what we know it to be, that strong tourism industry that we've built in Ohio. You go to the next slide. Linda, I really do thank you for having me as your webinar speaker today. It's difficult times. We want to do what we can to help support local Ohio now, and look forward to the day we can start marketing with our road trips and then our regional visitation marketing to help rebuild the tourism industry in our state. Next slide.
Thank you, Matt. And I know we had a comment. It was kind of getting muffly. So let's we try to adjust some of the volume. Let's see if that works. But I am going to ask a couple of the questions that were sent earlier. But I remind you all, if you go down to that chat button at the bottom of your screen, we can see any questions you may propose live, so I can make sure we get those questions asked. So first question, Matt, that was submitted is, how should we be marketing our outdoor attractions right now during the stay-at-home order? And is it okay to encourage people to travel to local parks and nature preserves and the like?
Yeah, thanks, Melinda. Right now, the stay-at-home, order in, and shop local online is our message. Many of the state parks are still open, and I know we've been working with ODNR, talking to ODNR. They do have plans to eventually market them again, as do we. But right now we're staying away. Right now the message is stay home and do things that you can do from home. When people, you're still allowed to go travel to the parks, the metro parks, the state parks, but until the stay-at-home order is up, it's not something that we will be actively marketing.
The next question, for arts and culture attractions, where is the best place to share perhaps some virtual content that's been created for the greatest reach?
Yeah, Melinda, can you guys hear me better? Is that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, I'll talk even louder.
Yes, that's better.
Okay. For that, you'll see my email at the end of this. Please send it to me and we will have our team incorporate it on the ohio.org/support local Ohio page.
That's perfect. And another thing I want to mention for the arts and cultural attractions, or for a community that has a lot of arts and cultural attractions, the National Endowment of Humanities has had some additional federal funding that they're going to be sending through the state humanities offices. And I was on a call with those folks last week. They have developed a survey. I will provide a link to that survey in the follow-up email, because they are going to be developing some type of a program to get that money into the hands of the arts and cultural activities, or to promote the arts and culture activities. So that's something else related to that question I wanted to make sure you knew. So the other question is, and I think you kind of mentioned it before, but it's worth reiterating. Do you anticipate a kind of a surge in road trip travel after our stay-at-home order is lifted?
I do see more people choosing road trip travel as their form of travel. What concerns me, when you see the Longwood study, the number of people that have canceled their trip for the next 6 months is a lot. It's that 53%. So we as an industry have work to do. When I would not use the word surge. I think there's a small market share out there, right? The smaller number of visitors planning trips out there. So we have to encourage people to travel again. And then we're positioned well because we're a good road trip state. And I think that's where most people will choose to do. But we have to get them to travel, and we have to capture our market share or a greater amount just to be able to see the numbers that we've seen in the past year.
Perfect. This is a question that's come in from one of our participants. We know state public parks are open, campgrounds, state campgrounds are closed. What about private campgrounds and what about hotels?
Is the question, are they open?
Yes.
Yeah, if you follow the governor's, what he's been talking about, he's really put parameters up and let each business decide on their own, and then they have to justify whether or not they're essential. So I think to that answer, some hotels are open, and with the campgrounds, I think you're seeing most are not, but some are. And I would just say, if you're going to choose to be open right now, make sure that you can defend that you are an essential business.
Yes, and I think there was additional information on our daily updates on our website that the campgrounds did actually, there was a order, the updated order last week was a little more specific to campgrounds. So another question, a lot of clients have been asking, what should the sentiment be when reaching out to consumers now? That's a really good question. So if you're going to be having a conversation with consumers.
Yeah, it is a good question. And I think
it's a really good question.
Depending on your product and your location even throughout the state. For us, it's too early for us to tell the state that they should be planning their next trip. We want to start incorporating that marketing in early May. But I know some destinations across the state, they offer products that they feel strongly visitors should be considering to plan their next trip right now. And they may have started already, and we actually encourage that. If you think your area is one where people should be planning their next trip right now, their sentiment fits it, then go for it. For us, what we know of the state, we want to focus on the support local Ohio, getting people to actually know it's okay to spend money again. And then once that sentiment, you can tell that consumers are more comfortable purchasing from restaurants and buying local online and purchasing from attractions, then we can start layering in okay, and now it's time to plan your next trip in Ohio.
And I'd like to answer that one too. I think as far as the sentiment, you have a really good idea of what people want to hear right now, because we're all feeling it. And so even when you're talking through social media, or you're making connections with possible consumers right now, I think, like we should always be addressing through our marketing efforts that greater need and solving a problem. The problems right now, we're all sharing. It's hope. It's a feeling of peace. It's those types of things, those types of messages. From a marketing perspective, marketing research perspective, it's kind of easier to understand because we're all going through this right now. And so if you're looking for what to say, even in the interim, before you're actually having a call to action, just think about that and how people are feeling. And can you communicate with them to make them feel better? Another question, Matt. How long does it take for something entered into the online shop to show up on ohio.org, support local?
Yeah, thank you. It's about 48 hours, 48 to 72 hours from the point it's entered to when it shows up. And that's because we have to go through and make sure that the listings that are submitted are appropriate for the site. Most are, but it's a necessary step that we have to do. And we also, depending on the volume, can get to them sometimes within that 24 to 48 hours. But lately we've had so many additions that it's been more between 48 and 72.
Okay. And if they submitted longer than that, should they reach out to anyone in particular to check on it?
Yeah, they absolutely should. And you'll see my email address at the end. Again, you can use that one or Juliana's.
Okay.
And Linda, I can send that over to you to send out to people as well.
Oh, sure. We'll put that in the email. Can you talk a little bit about, another one wants to know what the plans are for the Tourism Ohio Co-op ad program?
Yeah, so co-op has been interesting. Co-op is on hold right now across the board. If people have contacted us and want to continue with co-op, then we're all for it, and we will support that. We hope to get back to normal with co-op by June. Many people are looking at their budgets for this year and either asked us to hold or have asked out of co-op. We completely understand that and will honor those requests as well. Really right now, our over 100 partners, we're trying to work with each of them individually. And Roxy and Lauren, if you're in co-op, I know you know how to reach them. They're probably reaching out to you. We can let them know your desires and we'll do what we can to accommodate going forward.
Fabulous. Another question. Can Ohio DMOs use the Ohio Road Trips logo and the In This Together Ohio logo in their marketing? And if so, what are the parameters?
Yeah, you can. And we also have Together Ohio, Find It Here. No, we love when you use our stuff. That's what it's made for. The Together Ohio, Find It Here is one that we really want out there right now. So please, as always, reach out to our team and we'll send you over the file for it.
Great. Here's a different question, but hey, this one's kind of fun. Is there an archive list somewhere of all the movies filmed in Ohio or Oscar winners from Ohio? We have a supplier out there who would love to develop some content around this topic to just kind of support Ohio in its stories right now.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that archive. I know we've featured many movies in our advertising over the years. There are a few film commissions across the state. I would suggest reaching out to one of the film commissions and see if they have that built.
Perfect. Could you give us the web address again to submit info for publication to the Support Local Ohio?
It is ohio.org/support local Ohio. And I'll also add, thank you for all of those that have added your listings to ohio.org over the years. We were able to pull from existing listings to populate the site in the beginning. And if you have a listing of a retail, restaurant, or attraction already in ohio.org, then it's being pulled for the information we're using on ohio.org/support local Ohio. And we've seen many new listings created that are going into it as well.
Excellent. And we'll put that listing in the email, that link. So if you didn't catch that and didn't write it down, we'll make sure you get it. Okay, here's a question asking either one of us if we've seen research that indicates that once people can travel again, that they'll trend towards day trips and not risk a stay in a hotel or other lodging property, that people may feel safer in their own beds.
You know, I have not seen anything on day trips. I will say this, it's going to be up to the industry to show that we're safe. So each individual hotelier, attraction, retailer, restaurant out there should be thinking, how do I incorporate social distancing and how do I incorporate or improve my cleaning or be able to tell guests that we've upgraded our cleaning, right? Those types of things. And I saw a lot of it right in the beginning of the crisis here. Before things started to close down, we were receiving notices on improved cleaning standards. And I think those type of notices incorporated with social distancing have to come out again to be able to give consumers some type of feel of safety when you're doing those things, when you're spending them, when you're staying or going to places. And that's going to be part of our challenge to get the consumer back, is to make them feel safe about traveling again.
I totally agree with you. It is going to be about consumer confidence and it's going to be about safety. So that's a really good tip. And I think we all need to start thinking about not only how do we put these safety measures into place, but also how we communicate them in a way to our guests. And it is likely, and the governor has said this repeatedly, that there will be some requirements for businesses before we would be able to open. So that personal distancing will be part of it. We know that's for sure. Question, do you feel that it's okay to promote a family drive on our scenic byways?
If that question's for right now.
Yes.
I would think about what is out there right now. It kind of depends on your location, but for for us, the message through the end of April is stay home, and then things you can do from home. Stay home, uh, order out from restaurants, and shop local online.
Right. And one of our other folks just said, yes, promoting scenic drives would be great, but where would they go to the restroom if things are closed up? Another question, are there any policies or requirements in the works that will change the way hotels will clean hotel rooms?
I haven't seen any policies on that. I think the industry itself is looking hard at what they can do because they know they need to show it to get the consumer there.
Yes. Okay, I'm looking. Any other questions? I think we got everything. Looking through here. Oh, we got a new one. Oh, it was just a thank you. So anyway, we had, I think at peak, we had 90 participants on the call. We are going to expand capacity because we really ended up, maxing out on capacity earlier. So we will be offering these every week. So we will make sure that we will have added capacity. So if you want to invite people. So anyway, thank you, Matt. I really appreciate you participating and your conversation. Here are our emails. Please write these down. We'll send you the links, but I'm being sincere when I say reach out. Right now, I have 11 pages of stories from our businesses in Ohio that are suffering. And these stories are going to be shared with the Lieutenant Governor, with the Governor, and with Development Director, because these are real stories about what's happening on the ground. I'm going to put that link in the email also to you. I encourage you, if you haven't already told your story, please do so. Because look, these decision makers, and particularly once we get to some of the elected officials in the General Assembly, they're going to want to hear the stories of what's happening at the business level. And so they're very, very important. So please reach out to us with any questions you may have. We really encourage that. And we go to the next slide. Kelly, I want to thank our sponsor for today, which is Midwest Living. They have been right with us in figuring out a way to get more information to you. So if you have ideas, you want to hear from a different speaker, let us know. If you have an idea of who you want on these webinars, let us know. If there's a conversation you want to have, please let us know. We're here for you, and Midwest Living has graciously helped support us in being able to do this for you. Okay. And next week, Tori Emerson Barnes, she is directly involved in working on the economic relief packages that have happened with the CARES Act. And we're going to kind of talk not only about some of the other things they're thinking down the road. Again, here in Ohio, we're starting to shift into how do we prepare? How do we figure out what we need to ask for recovery? They're doing the same thing in DC. So we're working hand in hand with Roger Dow and Tori at US Travel. She will be on, or someone from US Travel, to talk specifically about what to expect from phase 4. I will remind any of you, if you haven't seen it already, there is we've worked with US Travel to offer a free webinar tomorrow that will talk about funding specifically for 501c6s. So 501c6 organizations were kind of overlooked, not that we didn't try, but they were overlooked by this last funding package. And so US Travel is having a webinar tomorrow specifically about the options that are available. So please join us. I'm sure Tori will bring us up to date on some of those activities as well next week. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone. And again, thanks to our guest, Matt. And we're really, really excited you guys were able to join us, and we look forward to lots of conversations in the future. Thank you.